Hi, my name is Michael Meyer, the Meyer team at Compass Real Estate. Excited to bring to you the second week market update for February. So first of all, where are we in the real estate cycle? Well, first of all, we're actually getting back into a cycle, which is very exciting. The last couple of years, things were very wonky because of COVID and rates and a whole bunch of different things going on. But now we are getting back into a cycle. And what is that cycle? That cycle is one in which people list their properties at the beginning of the year. By the time April rolls around, and including the month of April, you have the largest number of listings on the market for sale. And you have the largest number of market on for sale in April because buyers, they follow suit right after the listings come to the market. They spend a few weeks looking at the inventory, deciding what they want to buy, making offers, and then getting into contract. That takes some time. So once you get into May, some of those listings that were listed in February, March, and April, they now start coming off the market because they're going into contract. And so you see the total number of listings decrease after April and continue until basically the summer. So if you're thinking about selling, now is definitely the time to be doing it, to be taking the initiative, to do whatever needs to be done to get your property sold. And of course, to list your property if you or anyone you know is thinking about it. So please have anyone reach out to me if they want to have a further conversation. It's been an exciting week, both in the luxury market and the new development market and in the general market. So let us take a quick look and see what's happened this week in the New York City real estate market. Let me share what has been going on. So first off, this past week, we had a total of 315 properties that got listed for sale. That's up 12.9. Makes sense, as I was saying. People are going out there now beginning to list their properties for sale. And we had an increase of 13% of properties that went into contract. Again, buyers are out there right now also purchasing properties, and that is something that is growing. And if we look at it over a monthly basis, well, supply, we've had 1,181 properties get listed over the last 30 days or so, and that is up 116% from the month before. So again, people are out there going to list their properties, and also contracts being signed are increasing as well. Some quick, interesting things I always find interesting. What is the average price per square foot in Manhattan at the moment? 1,441. That's a little bit up from the month before. And one thing that really I tell people to keep in mind is even though you're seeing an increase in contracts being signed, we still should note that there are 43.4% fewer properties in contract now than they were a year ago. So that's a staggering statistic. The one thing I'd say is the market price-wise hasn't really dropped because of the decrease in volume. And something that even speaks to that is there's a lot of sellers that have just taken their properties off the market or that just haven't even listed their property. So as opposed to sellers being scared and nervous and going out there and listing their property in droves, worrying that the pricing is going to go down because the volume is down, actually the reverse has happened and 5,300 units came off the market in the last 6 months. Now, you're going to see now properties coming back to the market because there's positivity in the market. Rates are still higher, but have gone down significantly from their peak. So, very interesting to take note of these things. Some things people ask me, what is the average listing discount when you list your property from listing to sale price? Around 4.7% in general. Please ask me about your building or about your neighborhood to get you more specific. This is in Manhattan all in general. People ask me if there are ever bidding wars that are happening. Yes, 13.2% of the time there are bidding wars. That means between 1 and 2 out of every 10 properties has a property that sells above the asking price. So super interesting to note. And if you're curious how many properties are on the market in general right now, 6,071 units are available for sale, should you want to go out there purchasing. Okay, let's talk about the luxury market. Interesting market. I look at the luxury market from two different angles. One is whether you consider luxury 4 million and up, and one is whether you consider luxury 5 million and up. If we look at the 4 million and up market, there was 29 contracts that got signed this past week in all the boroughs. 15 of them was in Manhattan, so it was the strongest borough for luxury sales. If you take a look at what is one of the most luxurious sales that have happened, it actually is at the Benson, and that's the picture you see behind me over here. And this property was asking 15.5 million, a 6-bedroom, 1 bath, price per square foot, 4,193 was the square footage, sorry, and the price per square foot was 3,697. So really, really just gorgeous, gorgeous property. Now, if we look at the market as a 5 million and up luxury market, 17 contracts were signed, and that's a total of 122.755 million. And something I always find interesting is how many, like, where in the city are all these taking place? Downtown has had 47% of those luxury sales taking place in the city. And if you're curious, is these co-ops selling? Are these condos selling? Well, actually, 12 condos, 4 co-ops, and 1 townhouse is where things have been going. The average sale price at this 5 million and up is 7.2 or 6.5, depending on how you're looking at the asking price. So super interesting things. Now, open houses. We always care about who's showing up at open houses. We've had around 3 people when we did a little Compass internal audit. Around 3 people are showing up at open houses. That is up. That is up from January 29th when we had less than that. So more people showing up at open houses, again, following the cyclical pattern that we were discussing earlier. And if you're curious, 4,720 properties had open houses this past week. Now let's close out on talking about new development in New York City. 53 sponsor contracts were signed this past week in the boroughs, and 62 were signed. So I'm sorry, generally, we historically have 53 sponsor contracts that are signed per week. And this is something I share with you guys pretty often because it's important for you to know what's the benchmark. And when you look at the last couple of weeks, we had 62 properties that went into contract last week, and then 2 weeks ago, and then 58 that went last week. So we're above the historical norm, meaning new development is doing well. New development is sitting in a strong position. 11 of those were 4 million and above. And in Manhattan, 29 of those contracts of the 58, 29 of those were in Manhattan. So that's a good chunk of those were actually in Manhattan. And sometimes Brooklyn outperforms Manhattan in new development. And this past week, Manhattan was outperforming the other boroughs. So some really interesting stuff. Of course, you can read this and more on my blog at myrealestate.com. And if you'd like to discuss the market, if you'd like to discuss your building, understand that this is here to give you a general narrative of what's happening in the market. But if you want more specific about your building and about your neighborhood, these are things that I would love to discuss with you or those that you know. And if you find this valuable, please respond with a thumbs up. If you're reaching this in an email, just say thanks for sharing, to tell our big brother Google that you appreciate this and simply that you want to continue to get this information. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day, and excited to see what comes to you next week on our next weekly update. All the best. Take care. Bye.